Hi everyone, this is Samantha Wolf coming to you with the final report for action research. So I did my action research on speaking my language. It's about using Duolingo to boost confidence and communication. So my area of focus statement was the purpose of this study was to see effects of English language learning application Duolingo to see if they will help students improve their speaking skills. The research questions that guided me were: how do English language learning application influence students' confidence when speaking English? In what ways do learning apps affect student motivation to practice speaking in and outside of class? And what differences in speaking performance are observed between students who use English learning apps and those who rely on traditional classroom instruction? Data collection was through the Acadians reading assessments, Go English 2 quick informal assessment, and Duolingo. The Acadians reading assessments and the Go English 2 assessment are also required by my district, so these were not outside of the realm of what is, quote, normal. So when I go into my data analysis, we have a few different things for my class demographics and permissions. I had 17 students in my second grade class. This number has since changed. Of those 17, 16 returned permission slips. 7 of the 17 students are English language learners, or ELLs. 3 of those 7 English language learners are also part of the multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS process, where they're receiving extra help from a reading specialist. And 10 of my 17 students are considered native English speaking. When looking at our data, the Acadians reading assessment is split up into multiple different sections. So the first section is the Acadians reading assessment, is our nonsense word fluency, and we're focusing specifically on how whole words read. So when we are doing this assessment, they have 1 minute to read nonsense words, such as this word lawn that I have on the right of my screen. So they're allowed to say each sound and then say the word, but then they would only receive points for each correct letter sounds. If students read the word in the entirety of the word correctly, then they receive 1 whole word read and 3 correct letter sounds. So out of that, 4 of the 16 students show no improvement. 2 of those 4 students were also considered L's and MTSS. The class average increase of 6 whole words read. And to put it in perspective, beginning of year goal is 54 correct letter sounds and 13 whole words read for second grade. This assessment is also not monitored after our beginning of year assessments. Also, with our Acadian score, we talk about oral reading fluency. So this is giving a student a passage on grade level and saying you have 1 minute to do your best reading and then tell me about their story. With oral reading fluency, 5 of my 17 students showed no growth on grade level. Our class average increased 33 words per minute. Our individual average growth of 6 words per minute. And again, to put it into perspective, middle of year goal is 72 words a minute. End of year goal for second grade is 87 words a minute. From their oral reading fluency, they also have to do a retell, so they tell what their story is about. I included the retell scores for my native English speakers to see if the English learning app Duolingo also benefited them with their grammatical and retell scores. So again, this is for my native English speakers. 5 out of 16 students retold with an average of 22 words a minute. 8 out of 16 students retold most recently with progress monitoring with an average of 22 words. In those 8 8 out of 16. One of them was labeled ESL or ELL. Again, the perspective middle year goal is 21 words a minute. End of year goal is 27 words a minute. The next assessment that we're using is a Go to English quick formal assessment, and this one's kind of tricky to explain. So normally we would look at WIDA scores, but WIDA assessments won't be available until well after this action research is finished. So the goal is for students to increase one speaking level an academic year according to WIDA. In this Go English 2 quick formal assessment, they're given 5 ranks from beginning, early intermediate, early advanced, and advanced. There are 4 questions within each ranking. I'm going to refer to them as subsections. So students should increase 1 ranking in a school year. So at this point, the goal would be for my students to increase at least 2 subsections of a rank. Out of there, this is only for my English as a second language students. 1 of my 7 students maintained their speaking level. 6 of the 7 increased by at least 1 subsection. And the greatest growth out of all of my students was 6 subsections. And then talking about Duolingo, just some things. This was challenging for me to track. I was unsure of what my students specifically were studying when they were learning English because it goes off of whatever Duolingo thinks they need to be learning. It was very hard for my students to log on to their laptops on Duolingo. I think had we had tablets or cell phones, it would have been much easier for students to log on and have access to Duolingo using those technologies. And then my ELL students or ESL students took a lot longer to complete lessons than my native English speakers, which makes sense, but was something that I didn't anticipate. In conclusion, I need to be more diligent about having intentional timing for the students to use Duolingo as I move through the school year and finish my action research, because this will be continuing through my school year for me. I needed school permission faster. I needed parents to return permission slips faster. And it would be easier if I used, again, a different piece of technology for faster login. But overall, most of my students are improving. The few students that did not show improvement are students that are also struggling with all aspects of learning and are receiving help. And then I just have my references. Have a wonderful day.